Welcome, my dear guys and gals, to the discussion of how you can make Seth into a DPS in Zenless 0. This is your host, Likabish, and let's get started with the discussion. So, Seth is an electric defense type unit that is mainly used for defensive assists and to keep your team more well protected while also buffing anomaly units. But what if we go beyond this archetype and actually make him into a DPS? How do we do that? First things first, we gotta go into the stats. Alright, this right here, this character builder, is one of the most important things in Zenless 0. This right here dictates what you want your character to do. First things first, let's go for baseline stats. As you see that thing highlighted right there, that's Zenless 0's clever way of telling you, hey, this character mainly scales off of blank. So with Seth, you want as much attack as possible because he mainly scales off of attack, right? So now we know what he scales off of. So then we move over to his drive discs. And these drive discs are also very important. What we're going to run is the full Electro set with some additional crit rate from Woodpecker because why not? Crit rate, right? You kind of need that if you want to build a DPS. And then you have his W engine, his signature W engine, which is the best for him, which gives him more attack and also gives him more energy regeneration and gives him more anomaly buildup when it comes to his EX attack and his assist follow-up. Now you may be asking, okay, we have the build, but what specifically makes him do so much damage? Well, let's go to his character skills and figure that out. When it comes to Seth's damage, it all evolves around that move you just saw right there. His basic attack, with everything else in his kit supplementing that skill. This is activated by filling your resolve meter. Your EX is your main way of filling the meter. You can just tap it to do the normal version or hold it for a more powered up version. There is a faster powered up version, but we will get to that later. His defense assist builds meter and does a quick assist. His ultimate also fills meter, with his M2 and M6 both buffing this move by a massive amount. When it comes to his M2, it would fill his resolve meter when you first enter battle, and then it will buff it by increasing the electric anomaly buildup by 35%. Then when it comes to his M6, anytime he hits the finishing move of that ability, it will deal additional damage equal to 500% of his attack, will guarantee a critical hit, and the critical damage will be increased by 60%. And finally, another thing that combos with hitting the finishing move of that attack, it will also reduce the target's anomaly buildup resistance by 20% if you have his additional ability High Spirit. Alright, we just talked about the stats, the equipment, the skills, but what about his two other teammates? Because you could get two other people to form a team. Who would be the best teammates for a DPS Seth? First things first, Yuzuha. And because Yuzuha deals with a lot of anomaly related things, she's an anomaly support. And Seth has plenty of anomaly related things in his kit. Not only that, but Yuzuha also gives an attack buff and also has very good grouping, which is really good because Seth is a single target unit. He doesn't have that much AoE. Now, of course, not everyone is going to have Yuzuha because she's a limited character, so you could sub her out with Rina if need be. The final team member will be Grace, is because Grace doesn't need that much to put in very good value in terms of anomaly building. And not only that, but remember, part of Seth's damage is the Electro set, which if an enemy is shocked, he gets more attacked. Grace helps keeps the enemy shocked, so he can continue to have the attack buff. Okay, and now finally we're done with all this team building, character building nonsense. Let's get into how you would actually use Seth to completely harness all these resources to unlock his true power. When it comes to the mechanics, remember this. You want to use your resolve as much as possible and not use the slow charge up for the EX as much as possible. So we're going to go get into this fight and I'm going to explain what's going to happen. First things first, I'm going to use my resolve immediately. I want that meter gone. Then we're going to swap over to Yuza, which will quick assist Seth in, which will then speed up the EX attack. That's one of the ways that you could do to speed up the EX attack. And then we're going to put in Grace as well, because while you're using the skill, Grace can also attack the enemy. So the fight continues on here. I go ahead and get a defensive clash, trying to build up my meter, but I already had some. But right here, Yuza gets hit. And again, it counts as a quick assist when you quick assist someone and after someone gets hit. And then, boom, you can go ahead and speed up your EX yet again. Again, you want to keep all this stuff in mind. I swap in Grace again to go ahead and get that additional damage. Then I'm going to quickly swap on back over to Seth so we can go ahead and do his little combo here where you use your resolve, ult, to go ahead and fill the resolve meter again. And then I'll do resolve right afterwards. So I go and use the resolve, quick assist, use the in. And right here you're going to see another way to use the fast EX attack. We're going to dodge this attack and then you immediately go into your EX. So that's another quick way to get into your attack is also through dodging. So then we're going to go ahead and do all these defensive assists. That is a requirement. And then we're going to go ahead and do the resolve again. As you see, it's just a pattern. It's just a pattern. Using your resolve. If you use the HUD, bring Seth back in. Using Grace to put in damage when needed. You just keep on mixing in between the two during this fight. Also right here, you're going to see something pretty cool about Seth and his resolve is that when you miss his resolve, you actually do not spend it. You only spend the resolve meter when you actually hit the enemy. So watch my resolve go down. See how it goes down only when I hit the enemy? That's how that works. So don't worry about missing. If you miss, you're just able to do it again as long as you didn't do that many attacks on the enemy with your resolve meter. So we go ahead and finish up this fight here. The boss is practically dead. And this fight is one of the better examples I have here that shows you how to truly harness the power of Seth, really. As I said, you just keep on doing the same things over and over again. You do the fast version of your EX. You use your resolve. You swap Yuza in, so Yuza could swap Seth back in. And then you use Grace whenever Seth uses the EX attack. So she can go ahead and get in her damage while Seth is also getting damage at the same time. Nothing much to it than that. And there you have it. That is how you can make Seth into a DPS. This is what I love about Zenless Zone Zero, because you can take characters who are additionally not your typical DPS and make them into a DPS anyways. In Zenless Zone Zero, your rarity of your character doesn't really matter, and the newest character and the older characters doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you make a good build, and it will carry you through any content in the game. The building in this game is just so satisfying. It is hard to explain to you all. But you've been sitting here listening to me talk. Let me go ahead and show you the power of a DPS Seth.
Don't even think about it.
This has been your host, Lakemish, opening the discussion to the comments below. Taking a rest. Glad to be back doing YouTube once more. Saying farewell to you all.